Shakuntala Bhandarkar.
Congratulations, ma'am. Wonderful to be here.
Sir, namaste.
Yes, amazing.
Namaste.
Captain Manoj Kumar Pandey, another PVC. He said, some goals are so worthy, it's glorious even to fail. Good morning, everyone, and a very, very warm welcome to all of you. I'm your host, Preeti Prakash, and I'm accompanied by my co-host, Anuj Mathur, for this morning.
शुभ प्रभात। मैं अनुज माथुर आप सभी गणमान्य अतिथि गणों का इस प्रांगण में तहे दिल से स्वागत, वंदन और अभिनंदन करता हूं। साथ ही मैं आप सबको विक्रमी संवत 2079 नव वर्ष के उपलक्ष्य में हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं और बधाई देता हूं।
It's my privilege to welcome everyone to this launch event of a documentary on the fallen hero of 1999, who laid his life in the service of the great nation. The documentary is based on the life and times of Lieutenant Colonel Ajit V Bhandarkar, a recipient of Shaurya Chakra, documented in a book written by his wife, Shakuntala Bhandarkar. It's a tough call to relive each and every moment, days, months, years spent with your beloved partner in the shape of a book. God knows how many emotional outbursts the lady must have gone through. I feel so touched, but extremely proud at the same time, telling you that she has two sons who too are in the service of the nation. One is in the army and the other one is a naval officer. There cannot be a more exemplary patriot than the set of these four.
जो पानी से नहाते हैं वो लिबास बदलते हैं, और जो अपने पसीने और खून से नहाते हैं वो इतिहास बदलते हैं, वो इतिहास बदलते हैं। आज हम यहां इकट्ठा हुए हैं एक ऐसे ही जांबाज रणबांकुरे के ऊपर बनाई गई बायोपिक का मंचन करने के लिए। लेफ्टिनेंट कर्नल अजीत वी भंडारकर, शौर्य चक्र। इस फिल्म का कॉन्सेप्ट और इसको क्यूरेट किया टीम मेटामॉर्फ्स, जिसके बारे में आपको थोड़ी देर पहले आपने एक छोटी 2 मिनट की क्लिप में देखा, और माया फिल्म्स। माया फिल्म्स बेंगलोर में स्थित एक प्रोडक्शन हाउस है जो पिछले 25 सालों से लगातार राष्ट्र प्रेम, समाज सुधार और दिल को छू जाने वाली मर्मस्पर्शी लघु फिल्मों का निर्माण करते रहे हैं। इन्होंने लगभग 100 इस प्रकार की फिल्में बनाई हैं जिन्होंने समाज को और देश को एक बहुत बड़ा लेसन दिया है। मैं खास तौर पे 2 फिल्मों का उल्लेख करना चाहूंगा। एक फिल्म बॉर्डर्स क्रिएट विडोज, बहुत बेहतरीन फिल्म, और इस फिल्म का नरेशन सदी के महानायक अमिताभ बच्चन ने स्वयं किया। इसके अलावा जो दूसरी फिल्म जिसका मैं उल्लेख आपके सामने करना चाहता हूं वो फिल्म है कि वहां कर्नाटक के जो लोकल महिला जुलाहे हैं उनके द्वारा तिरंगे बनाए जाने के ऊपर एक बेहतरीन लघु फिल्म का निर्माण माया फिल्म्स ने किया और वो फिल्म हर जगह तहलका मचा रही है मेरे हिसाब से।
Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have amongst us His Excellency Brigadier Dr. B.D. Mishra, Governor of Arunachal Pradesh. Commissioned in the Madras regiment, Brigadier Dr. Mishra has an illustrious army career spreading over 33 years. He has taken part in all three wars, 1962, 65, 1971, also in IPKF and Kargil too.
और हमारे बीच मैं एक दो पंक्तियां बोलना चाहता हूं। किसी चिराग का कोई मुका नहीं होता, किसी चिराग का कोई मुका नहीं होता, जहां जाएगा रोशनी फैलाएगा। ऐसे चिराग हमारे देश में हैं श्री राजीव चंद्रशेखर जी, जो कि भारत सरकार में इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स, आईटी, एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप के राज्य मंत्री के पद पर कार्यरत हैं। उनका अपना काम उनकी पहचान है, उनका अपना काम उनकी तरह पूरे समाज में, पूरे देश में रोशनी फैला रहा है। इनका सबसे बड़ा जो मैं कहता, सर्विंग आवर नेशन अंडर दैट हेड, श्री राजीव चंद्रशेखर जी ने हजारों स्कीम्स को स्पीयर हेड किया है और वो तमाम स्कीम्स खास करके सैनिकों, पूर्व सैनिकों, विधवाओं, सैनिक विधवाओं, वीर नारियों, उन पर कॉन्सेंट्रेट करती हैं, उन पर फोकस करती हैं। और मुझे नहीं लगता कि जिस प्रकार का काम श्री राजीव चंद्रशेखर जी कर रहे हैं वो हम किसी और प्रकार कहीं और से देख पाते। मैं श्री राजीव चंद्रशेखर जी का एक बार फिर स्वागत, अभिनंदन करता हूं।
We take pride in welcoming the Colonel of the Regiment, Lieutenant General Manjinder Singh, YSM, VSM. Welcome, sir.
आज हमारे बीच एक और बहुत बड़ी शख्सियत मौजूद है और मैं उसको कहता हूं बड़ी शख्सियत है क्योंकि उस शख्सियत ने न केवल भारतवर्ष में बल्कि पूरे विश्व में, कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड में और एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप में एक ऐसी पताका फहराई है जिसका कि कोई सानी नहीं है। उस शख्सियत का नाम है चंद्र प्रकाश गुरनानी। चंद्र प्रकाश गुरनानी, सीईओ टेक महिंद्रा। राष्ट्रीय और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर इन्होंने इतने अवार्ड्स हासिल किए हैं कि यदि मैं उनको गिनाना शुरू करूं तो मुझे लगता नहीं है कि हम इस टाइम जस्टिस कर पाएंगे। सिर्फ इतना कहना चाहूंगा कि वो दुनिया के सर्वोत्तम सीईओज में शुमार हैं। वेलकम चंद्र प्रकाश गुरनानी।
And we are so proud today we have with us Arjun awardee Damayanti V Tambeji. She is the president of War Widows Association. Her husband, Flight Lieutenant Vinod V Tambe, has been missing in action since 1971.
शुभम करोति कल्याणम, शुभम करोति कल्याणम, आरोग्यम धन संपदा, शत्रु बुद्धि विनाशाय दीप ज्योति नमोस्तुते। दीप प्रज्वलन हमारे दर्शन का, सनातन दर्शन का एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण और बहुत जरूरी अंग रहा है। हम हर शुभ कार्य करने से पहले दीप प्रज्वलन की प्रथा का पालन करते हैं। दीप प्रज्वलन न केवल अंधकार का नाश करता है बल्कि ये हमको आगे सफलता के पथ पर अग्रसर होने के लिए हमारा पथ भी प्रदर्शित करता है। आज का फंक्शन भी, क्योंकि एक बहुत संजीदा माहौल में हम एक बहुत बड़े सोल्जर के बारे में ये फंक्शन कर रहे हैं, इसलिए हम इस फंक्शन का भी शुभारंभ दीप प्रज्वलन के साथ करेंगे। और दीप प्रज्वलन के लिए मैं अपने अतिथियों से अनुरोध करूंगा कि वे मंच पर पधारें और इसको अंजाम दें। मैं निशांत से कहूंगा कि वे माननीय ऑनरेबल गवर्नर साहब को मंच पर लेकर आए। पंकज, आप मुख्य अतिथि महोदय को मंच पर लेकर आए। मधु, श्री चंद्र प्रकाश गुरनानी जी को आप मंच पर लेकर आए। Maya. शकुंतला, आप अमेय डबली जी को दीप प्रज्वलन के लिए मंच पर लेकर आए। सीओ 18 मद्रास से अनुरोध है कि वे कर्नल ऑफ द रेजिमेंट लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल मनजिंदर सिंह साहब को मंच पर लेकर आए।
मधु, उधर हो जा, उधर हो जा। We'll request the guests to stay. We'll request the guests to stay. We'll request the guests to stay on the stage. We'll request the guests to stay on the stage for some more time. On behalf of Metamorphes and Maya Films, we are too happy to honor our guests with a small token of remembrance. To do the honors, I would request Nishant to honor His Excellency Governor of Arunachal Pradesh, Dr. Brigadier B.D. Mishra, with this token of remembrance. Request Pankaj to do the honors to the chief guest, MOS Rajiv Chandrasekhar ji. Madhu Mathur, I'll request Madhu Mathur to do the honors to present the remembrance token to C.P. Gurnani. I'll request CO of 18 Madras, Colonel Naresh, to honor Colonel of the Regiment, General Manjinder. And Shakuntala to honor Damayanti Tambeji.
And we'll request Maya to honor Shri Amay Dabli ji. अब मैं अतिथिगणों से अनुरोध करूंगा कि वे कृपया अपना स्थान ग्रहण करें और जो लोग उनको यहां लेकर के आए वो उन्हें यथा स्थान पहुंचाने का कष्ट करें। अब मैं स्वागत करूंगा अजीत भंडारकर के एक सेलिब्रिटी कोर्समेट लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल अनिल कुमार भट्ट का। लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल अनिल कुमार भट्ट एक बहुत सफल मिलिट्री लीडर रहे हैं। इन्होंने बहुत कठिन और संवेदनशील समय में जब धारा 370 और 35A को हटाने के लिए ग्राउंड तैयार किया जा रहा था, उस समय इन्होंने श्रीनगर स्थित 15 कोर की कमान संभाली थी। लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल अनिल कुमार भट्ट डायरेक्टर जनरल मिलिट्री ऑपरेशंस और मिलिट्री सेक्रेटरी भी रह चुके हैं और उनकी इस विलक्षण प्रतिभा को ध्यान में रखते हुए हमारे यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री ने उनको ISPA अर्थात इंडियन स्पेस एसोसिएशन का पहला डायरेक्टर जनरल चुना है। मैं ISPA के पहले डायरेक्टर जनरल लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल अनिल कुमार भट्ट PVSM, UISM, AVSM, SM, VSM को मंच पे आमंत्रित करता हूं कि वे एक धन्यवाद और एक वेलकम स्पीच हम सब लोगों के लिए दें। लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल अनिल कुमार भट्ट।
Good morning and Jai Hind. It is my special honor and privilege to be chosen to deliver the welcome address on the release of this biopic on our Braveheart, Lieutenant Colonel Ajit Bhandarkar, based on the book written by Mrs. Shakuntala Bhandarkar and sponsored by Metamorphes and produced by Maya Films. At the very outset, I take this opportunity once again to welcome our honored guests. Firstly, the special guest, the Governor of Arunachal Pradesh, His Excellency Dr. Brigadier B.D. Mishra. He superannuated from the army a very long time ago, but I know his heart still beats for the Indian Army, for his Paltan and for his regiment. He still gets intimately involved in the welfare of his regiment and the officers. I've had a first-hand experience of this as a military secretary many times. I also welcome the chief guest, Shri Rajiv Chandrasekhar, Honorable Minister of State. He has been rigorously espousing the causes of servicemen, both serving and retired, and we Naris. On behalf of all from the uniformed community, we thank you, dear Minister. We also welcome the Colonel of the Regiment, Lieutenant General Manjinder Singh, the Colonel of the Regiment of Madras Regiment, and incidentally, Faisalabad, where the supreme sacrifice was given by Ajit, falls in his area of responsibility. I also welcome Mrs. Damayanti Tambe, President, War Widows Association, and all other esteemed guests. Ajit laid down his life for the nation in October 99 as a young lieutenant colonel while serving in Jammu and Kashmir. His sacrifice is a source of inspiration for all of us in the Indian Army, and especially for us, his course-mates from 59 NDA and 69 regular, who are here in large majority. As a course-mate, I had known Ajit distantly because he was in Golf Squadron, but what is etched in my memory is what has been so succinctly written by Lieutenant General Rajiv Sabharwal in the book. That day, in the hockey match of Singar Company in IMA, he, as a lone ranger of Singar Company, proved his mettle and excellent qualities of a leader he possessed. No wonder our company commander, then Major, later Major General D.P. Merchant, a man of very high standards, asked him to join his platoon. I had the privilege to serve with Ajit as a major in the military secretary's branch in 1997 and 98 before he moved for his RR tenure. Ajit, typical of him, was a model MS branch officer, always polite and firm, ready to listen to all he met during the course of his duty. His value systems are apparent from his response to his posting to RR. He, without any representation, readily moved to Surancourt. I say this with emphasis because Ajit was a MS branch officer and could have looked for a softer posting, and more importantly because his own regimental officer was the Colonel MS2, Brigadier Atmanathan, who is here and would tell you about that. But my most special salutations today are to our Veer Nari, Mrs. Shakuntala Bhandarkar, who, after the supreme sacrifice of her husband, took hold of herself and her young boys and charted out a career for herself as an educationist and as a counselor. We all understand the travails, difficulties, and loneliness she would have had to overcome despite the support of postmates, regimental officers, and others. Our compliments to you, Mrs. Shakuntala Bhandarkar. And I would say a special thanks for giving the nation and our armed forces two smart, young, energetic Bhandarkars. That is Nirbhay, who got commissioned into the NSG, commissioned into 18 Madras and now is in NSG, and Lieutenant Commander Akshay, who is a submariner. I would request the two boys to please stand up, and definitely they deserve a standing ovation. I would request you to get up and give them a standing ovation, please. Come here, please, Nirbhay. And please come here. Shakuntala, please. Gentlemen, Mrs. Shakuntala Bhandarkar and her two sons are a testimony of the strong traditions, values, and ethos of our great Indian Army. We all are proud of them. In the end, I would thank Metamorphes, started by 10 of our course-mates and ladies who have ensured that such a great event is done here today, and for all what they are doing. My special compliments to Brigadier Anuj Mathur, Colonel Pankaj Goyal, Colonel Nishant Kaura, and Mrs. Preeti Iyer, who are here and carrying out a yeoman service. In the end, I would just read out a few lines from that famous poem, If, which all of you in NDA would have read. And I would not go through the whole poem and read the last paragraph, which in many ways is appropriate for Ajit. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Jai Hind, gentlemen.
Thank you, Lieutenant General Bhatt, for your good words. We now request our Chief Guest, Honorable Minister for Electronics, IT, Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Rajiv Chandrasekhar ji, to launch the documentary on Lieutenant Colonel Ajit Bhandarkar. Lights off, please.
These ones also. Yeah.
After a long time, I went back to the regiment, and even the runner who was helping me in my room, he asked me, "Saab kaise hain?" I was, for a minute, I was like stunned. Which Saab is he asking about?
Colonel Ajit Bhandarkar.
Ajit Bhandarkar Shaurya Chakra.
Ajit Bhandarkar, there's been no one like him. He was a very good friend.
Very firm person. ತಾವು ಯಾವಾಗ ನೋಡಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಹತ್ರನೂ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್.
Whenever he would come on leave, he would spend most of his time with the kids. We slowly started enjoying his role as a father. I could see that he would always give preference to the kids.
I asked Ajit, why have you opted for such a posting? His answer was only one. If I don't go, then who would go?
First, my country.
When I see the casualty list, all of a sudden there was shock.
I was just, like a thunderbolt, na? When you get it, it was just like that for me. Shocking.
biopic on the life of the great hero who gave up his life so that our nation may be kept safe and protected from the enemy. This is exactly the time when we remember equally all the heroes who had lived their lives for the nation. They make us all proud. I'll take the opportunity now to call upon Damayanti Tambe to please come up on stage and talk to us about Warrior Widow's reminiscences.
डिफ़िकल्ट जॉब एट हैंड। इतनी खूबसूरत फिल्म देखना, इतनी इमोशनल फिल्म देखने के बाद कुछ भी कहना माने नहीं रखता। शकुंतला जी कहाँ हैं? आई कांट सी हर। आप बैठ जाएं। आज मुझे लगता है कि शकुंतला जी का धैर्य, साहस, श्रद्धा, उनके बच्चों का बचपन और जो स्टेज तक लाई हैं वो उनके मदद से, और जो इतने सुंदर तरह से दर्शाया गया है, आज केवल उसकी ही बातें करनी चाहिए और कोई भी चीज़ माने नहीं रखता। और मुझे लगता है मैंने इनसे थोड़े ही महीनों में जो मुलाकात हुई है बहुत कुछ सीखा है। जो इनका प्यार है, the affection she has, not only for the family but for everybody that you see around, that's very contagious, and I feel very proud to have got to know you. Thank you so much. आपने रेमिनिसेंस करने को कहा और मुझे नहीं लगता कि आज गुड़ी पाड़वा का दिन है। मेरे जीवन के वो 50 साल जिसके बारे में मैंने बहुत बार बातें करी हैं, आज के बाद मैं उसके बारे में बात करना बंद करना चाहती हूँ। आज से जितने भी मेरे वर्ष बचे हैं उनको मैं दूसरे ढंग से जीना चाहती हूँ। एक चीज़ मुझे बहुत अच्छी लगी और बहुत सुकून की लगी कि सारा यूनिट, सारी आर्मी अजीत जी के साथ थी, परिवार के साथ थी और आज भी है। दुख मेरे को सिर्फ इस चीज़ का रहा कि 50 साल में हमारे यूनिट या फौज से आज की तारीख तक एक भी व्यक्ति मेरे को मिलने नहीं आया। That's the only sadness I still carry and probably I'll carry till the end of my life. But that's also behind me. मुझे लगता है इस उम्र में आके देशभक्ति की ज़रूरत है, देश की सेवा की ज़रूरत है, और जो वीर नारियां हैं उनको मदद की ज़रूरत है। और उसी दिशा में आजकल मैं पिछले 12 साल से वॉर विडो एसोसिएशन में काम कर रही हूँ। और जब तक शरीर में जान है, दिमाग जगह पे है, मैं करने की कोशिश करूँगी। मैंने अपना जीवन कैसे बिताया, शुरू के 50 साल to look after myself, struggle to survive. Well, it was not a struggle to survive once I got the job in Jawaharlal Nehru University as the director of sports there. But I was kind of living two lives, trying to find out exactly what happened to my husband and 53 more people. हमारा 54 missing in action के बारे में शायद आप लोगों ने सुना होगा, कुछ लोगों ने। तो वो भी प्रयत्न चलता रहा और नौकरी भी चलती रही, because one had to work to earn the living. So that was okay. But I feel now क्या ज़रूरत है इस देश को, आप जैसे देशभक्तों की, आप जैसे फौजी लोगों की, आप जैसे कर्मठ लोगों की, और हम उनके साथ जीना चाहते हैं और उनके लिए कुछ करना चाहते हैं। हम जिस संस्था में काम करते हैं उसका नाम है वॉर विडोज एसोसिएशन। 50 साल पुरानी संस्था है। We are also celebrating 50 years of the War Widow Association. I think which must be one of the oldest in this country at least. And I am obliged to the chairperson, Mrs. Dr. V. Mohini Giri, who is the daughter-in-law of the President of India, V. V. Giri. उनसे मेरा कैसा संपर्क एकाएक हो गया और उन्होंने मुझे कहा कि why don't you come and work here? So after my JNU tenure, I joined the association और मैं तब से वहीं पे काम कर रही हूँ। और वहाँ जाने के बाद पता चला कि मेरी तकलीफ अगर मैं कहूँ या परेशानियाँ जो रही उससे बहुत ज़्यादा है वीर नारियों की। हाँ, केवल इसलिए नहीं कि हम कुछ कर रहे हैं, हम आप लोगों के नॉलेज में लाना चाहते हैं। हमारी ज़्यादा जो फोर्सेस रहती हैं वो रूरल एरिया में रहती हैं। इफ आई एम राइट, आप फौजी लोग मुझे करेक्ट कर दें इफ आई एम रॉन्ग। मगर बहुत सारी यंग रहती हैं, बहुत सारी आर नॉट एजुकेटेड इनफ, उनकी क्या एंटाइटलमेंट्स हैं, क्या है, उनको नहीं मिल पाती हैं। सो दैट इज व्हाट वी आर ट्राइंग टू फ्रॉम आवर एसोसिएशन ट्राई टू हेल्प देम। हम कोशिश करते हैं, उनके पास जाते हैं, मिलते हैं, उनसे पूछते हैं क्या समस्या है। सरकार में सब कुछ है मगर कुछ कनेक्शन की कमी है। People who are at the desk, who are in the offices, they are not reaching out to the women who need help, and women who need help, they can't reach the offices. So हम ब्रिज बनाने की एक कोशिश करते हैं, कभी सफल हो पाते हैं, कभी सफल नहीं भी हो पाते। बहुत सी सारी चीज़ें उनको वादा कर दिया जाता है मगर उसके आगे कोई वर्क नहीं करता, उनको पता ही नहीं कि उनकी क्या वो है। तो मैं आप लोगों से सिर्फ 2 मिनट में यही कहना चाहती हूँ कि मुझे बहुत खुशी हुई यहाँ आने का मौका मिला, आप लोग सबसे मिलने का मौका मिला। ईश्वर आपको सबको एक देशभक्ति का जो जज्बा यहाँ देखने को मिलता है वो बरकरार रहे, आगे के पीढ़ियाँ जो आए वो भी उतने ही स्ट्रांगली फील करें जैसे आज हम यहाँ बैठ के कर रहे हैं, स्पेशली आफ्टर सीइंग द डॉक्यूमेंट्री। और सब एकजुट होके, मुश्किल समय है, मुश्किल समय तो हमेशा ही रहता है देश पे, मगर कुछ हो सकता है ज़्यादा हो। वी हैव टू बी केयरफुल, वी हैव टू पुट इन आवर बेस्ट। आई मस्ट कंग्रेचुलेट द 2 young boys जिनको आपने brought them up so well, although you don't take the credit, but credit आपको ही जाता है। You must have been the role model for them. So congratulations to them. थैंक यू वेरी मच, आपने मुझे यहाँ बुलाया और ये 5-10 मिनट का समय दिया। थैंक यू ऑल।
धन्यवाद दमयंती जी। ये थी दमयंती जी, अर्जुन पुरस्कार विजेता और एक बहुत महान काम में लिप्त। हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं ब्रिगेडियर जी आत्मनाथन। ब्रिगेडियर जी आत्मनाथन अजीत भंडारकर के कमांडिंग ऑफिसर रह चुके हैं और अजीत भंडारकर को जिस मुकाम पर वो पहुंचे वहां तक पहुंचाने में उनका एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण रोल और एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण हाथ रहा है। मेरा भी ब्रिगेडियर आत्मनाथन के साथ छोटा सा नाता है। जब वो अपनी ब्रिगेड कमांड कर रहे थे पोर्ट ब्लेयर, अंडमान निकोबार आइलैंड्स में, तो मैं भी उनसे सिखाया पढ़ाया गया। मैं उनका ब्रिगेड मेजर था और मैं भी जो आज आपके सामने खड़ा हूं उसमें उनका एक अच्छा हाथ रहा है। अब मैं उनको यहां आमंत्रित करता हूं कि वे अजीत भंडारकर के बारे में हमसे 2 शब्द कहें।
लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, मेरे बहादुर कुछ 18 मद्रास के जेसीओस, जवानों और सभी फैमिलीज, मैं अगर बोलते बोलते रो गया है तो माफ कर दीजिएगा। कोशिश करता हूँ एक फौजी की तरह ज़रा कंट्रोल करके बोल। अजीत के बारे में आप लोगों ने काफ़ी कुछ डिटेल में आप लोगों ने सुन लिया है, लेकिन एक इंसिडेंट ज़रूर मुझे याद है। जब हम पट्टी तरन तरन जो कि हॉट बेड ऑफ खालिस्तानी टेररिस्ट का था, उस पे मैं जब सीओ था उस टाइम पर ऑपरेट कर रहे थे, तो हमें इंफॉर्मेशन मिला एक पर्टिकुलर एरिया में, वन पर्टिकुलर घर के अंदर देयर वाज अ टेररिस्ट लाइकली। सो हमने इमीडिएटली, अजीत का एरिया था इसलिए ऑपरेशन लॉन्च किया। मैं भी वहाँ पहुँचा हमारे क्यूआरटी के साथ। तो जैसे हमारे एनएसजी क्वालिफाइड एक नायक, वो ट्रैप डोर होता है पंजाब में, बड़े डोर दरवाजे के बीच में से एक छोटा डोर होता है, उसको खोल के एंट्री करने की कोशिश किया, उसके ऊपर फायरिंग आए और उस जवान को नाक में गोली लगी। तो मैं साइड में था, इसलिए मुझे इमीडिएट रिएक्शन मेरे में ये था कि जो दीवार है उसके ऊपर जंप मार के ऊपर जाके देखूं कि कहाँ से फायर आ रहा है, क्या कौन कर रहा है। जैसे मैं दीवार पे हाथ लगा के जंप करने की कोशिश कर रहा था, एक हाथ पीछे से somebody held me like this, मैंने देखा तो अजीत भंडारकर कहता से, you're the CEO, it's not your job, get back. I had to get back. Then he climbed up and he spotted the guy escaping through the rear of the door. Then after that we launched another operation to find out where he is, wherever, and he had gone and hidden himself in nearby another village, and we managed to capture him alive without killing any civilians, without doing anything, all thanks to Captain Hundal and Ajit Bhandarkar and party. तो ये इसलिए मैं कहना चाहता हूँ कि his sense of duty, कि CEO साहब तो कर सकता है, he could have kept quiet, but he realized it is not the CEO who has to do this job, it is my job and I will do it. उसके बाद शकुंतला भंडारकर जब आई थी यूनिट में, she was a typical एकदम Indian quiet girl, totally from an old-fashioned family. And from there to what she has become today, I can only say Chamundeshwari Mata, who is our goddess in the battalion, her blessings have been entirely with her, and the values Ajit Bhandarkar followed have been imbibed by her. दोनों लड़के छोटे छोटे थे और अभी ऑफिसर साहिबान with proper following, and I am 100% sure the dream I had that Ajit Bhandarkar will command 18 Madras one day, Chamundeshwari Mata will bless Nirbhay to command the battalion. And my only prayer to Chamundeshwari Mata is keep me alive to pip him, to give him his colonel's rank and let him see him take over the battalion. Lastly, मैं ये भी कहूँगा, माया फिल्म्स, मेटामॉर्फिस, आप लोग जो काम कर रहे हैं, इसके बारे में कहने का मेरे पास कोई शब्द नहीं है. My expression in English and Hindi is very poor. हिंदी में तो मुश्किल से पास हुआ था मैं. However, I must also tell you, 18 Madras had produced 3 more Veer Naris. And you may like to meet them, maybe you may like to make a documentary combined with them, because one of them is Major Dhaya's wife, who lost her husband when that little girl Harshita was only maybe about 2 or 3 years. Today Harshita has joined the army and she is in the Ordnance Corps. And then we have Colonel Sharawat, who commanded an RR battalion and was martyred there doing an operation. His wife is also here, and his son has also joined the Armored Corps. And last but not the least, is Captain Bhaduria, at a very young age lost his life in RR doing an operation, Shaurya Chakra, and his wife, when she had a child of, maybe 1 year, 2 years, she joined the army herself. I am glad she is here, as well as her son is here. First, I would request Shalini Bhaduria to get up and please face the world. And may also request that little brat whom we went, when we went for her commissioning and pipping, this is the little brat. Thank you, Dhruv. And incidentally, his name is Dhruv and my grandson's name is also Dhruv. Thank you all so much for giving me an opportunity to express my feelings. If it's not a very good Fauji-like lecture, pardon me, all those, especially my BM, because he would put up my script every time. All I would say is, there are much more Veer Naris at various places. Continue your work. May God give you the strength and the facilities to achieve more and more and more. Thank you.
Jinder Singh, YSM, VSM, Colonel of the Regiment, to speak a few words to our audience.
His Excellency Dr. Brigadier B.D. Mishra, retired, Honorable Minister of State Shri Rajiv Chaudhary ji, Mrs. Tanbe, President of Widows Association, War Widows Association, Mrs. Bhandarkar, the Veer Nari for the film which we are playing today here, Metamorphes and Maya films, officers, JCOs, and the Bahadur Jawans which are present here. Very good namaskaram to each one of you. As you all know, today we are here to launch this documentary, The Saga of a Braveheart. And I like to start my address by saying, शहीदों की चिताओं पर जुड़ेंगे हर बरस मेले, वतन पर मरने वालों का यही बाकी निशान होगा. That is what our martyrs are, and that is where you become Amar. Because all of us join the profession of soldiering with one aim, to go to combat. I would say that very few lucky soldiers are the one who finally get the opportunity to go to combat. And from there, the few selected ones which are near to God are taken by him, so that the generations which they are remembered and they become Amar. All of us come and go and serve and carry on. But all those people who are lucky soldiers, who sacrifice their life, are martyred and become Amar, are remembered for generations to come. And today is one of that occasion to remember our braveheart, Lieutenant Colonel Ajit Bhandarkar, here today in the stage. I won't touch upon his history, his life, because he's already been covered deeply in the documentary. Enough to say that the qualities which have been spoken of or which have been covered in the documentary are very, very illustrious of a very brave soldier. And for present generation of soldiers which are here today, who are still serving, they need to emulate the empathy, the human nature, the bravery and the courage which is hidden inside and comes out at the opportune moment, shown by the brave heart, are the basic qualities which each soldier need to imbibe and take a breath today and take a pledge. If opportunity comes my way, I will not deter, I will not dither, I will follow the virtuous path and follow my leader who has given us this prestigious moment today to be here on this stage. And my regiment followed this in letter and spirit. We are very thankful to those brave soldiers who have laid down their lives, shown us the path and given us that courage to be there and still follow it and follow it to last minute. Because of that, the whole nation is proud and proud of the sacrifice made by the brave hearts like Colonel Ajit Bhandarkar and many others who are present here with the families and the war widows with us here. I'd like to talk a little bit about Mrs. Shakuntala Bhandarkar because she has been the courage, she has been the force behind this whole activity. She could generate that, she could pick up her life after such a traumatic event. The soldier has done his part. He was a soldier, he was destined to do that, and he got the opportunity and he proved his mettle as a soldier. But the family does face traumatic situation, all of us understand that. But a lot of courage is required to pick up the bits and pieces, to rejoin them, raise two brave children and to join the military services again, and come up with a project of writing a book and subsequently making it into a documentary. My heartfelt feelings and a lot of appreciation towards ma'am for all the effort you are putting towards this. The story of Colonel Bhandarkar as a brave soldier and the story of Mrs. Bhandarkar as a brave Veer Nari, I think is a most decorated part of our history today. And I just want to share, being the Colonel Madras regiment, we have a very typical problem because my soldiers come from Peninsular India, and Peninsular India, the footprint of cantonments is very, very less. As compared to footprint of cantonments, Northern and Western India, we only have 4 or 5 cantonments. Just to name them, Trivandrum, Bangalore, Chennai, and a cluster of Sikandrabad, Hyderabad, only 4 cantonments where soldiers can approach for their problems. And all these 4 are metro cities. Very difficult for the soldier's family of a Jawan or a JCO retiring from Madras regiment, or I would say MEG also, will come and settle down in these metro cities. So this challenge I am trying to bridge. What we have done is just a small effort toward that. In last 1 year, we collected data of all the Veer Naris from 1947 onwards, and we were able to connect with them by a small gesture of a little bit of gift from regimental side, but the basic purpose is to go and understand what problem are they facing. Are they receiving the benefits that are due to them? We have made that effort. 24 such cases were identified. But I would be very honest, we didn't touch the metros where officer families are staying. So today, after listening to the President of War Widow Association, I will extend this outreach to the metro cities also. Also take data of the soldiers of Madras officers and connect with them. But I had done it, make a regiment to the JCO OR families. 24 such cases were identified, and the cases have been now processed to the conclusion so that their efforts are on to reconnect with them. But this problem is very specific to Madras regiment, where the footprint of cantonments is very, very less as compared to balance of the country. Our effort is on, and we'll take help from the government also to bridge that gap toward that side, sir. The Saga of Bravehearts is the epitome of the Madras regiment motto. It is glory to die doing one's duty. And each of a soldier is the epitome of all this, because Madras soldier comes from southern India. He imbibes himself a very intelligent mind, a very sharp, incisive brain, a physical fit, and a courageous soldier. And that is what a Tambi is all made about. And I'm so proud that I'm the colonel of the Madras regiment. The soldiers imbibe these qualities of an incisive brain, very intelligent, physically fit, and a brave, opportune movement, which over the generations the regiment has delivered for the pre-independence, post-independence, and even present generation. Today we are here in 18 Madras. 18 Madras is bravest of the brave. They got 2 chief citations. They got all kind of awards and things which are available, and they measure the best unit in the Indian Army today on any scale. Such are the units of soldiers composed of southern India, and I am the proud colonel of regiment today. It's my onerous responsibility to take each and every effort so that the welfare of the serving community, as also the Veer Naris and ex-servicemen who go back to the recruiting base after serving the job here, are looked after. And we are trying our effort best, ma'am. I want to assure Mrs. Tambe that your point, the metro also, I had not connected the war widows and metros, but that effort will also be done, so the metros also connect. Jai Hind, Namaskar.
Thank you so much, sir.
कर्नल रेजिमेंट साहब का मैं आभार प्रकट करता हूं और थोड़ी सी लिबर्टी में लेना चाहता हूं ऑर्गेनाइजर से और तमाम लोगों से। जनरल मनजिंदर, हम भी एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऐसा चला रहे हैं मेटामॉर्फ्स के अलावा, जिसका कि नाम है अखिल भारतीय पूर्व सैनिक सेवा परिषद, और हम भी इसी काम में संलग्न हैं। और हमारा भी ध्येय राष्ट्र प्रथम और उसके पश्चात पूर्व सैनिक, वीर नारियों और किसी भी प्रकार के किसी भी उनसे जुड़े हुए लोगों की हर समस्या का ध्यान रखना और उनका समाधान ढूंढना। हमारे ग्रुप्स सदर्न भारत में भी एक्टिव हैं और मैं आपके स्टाफ से कांटेक्ट करवा के उनसे, और वो लोग साथ काम कर सकते हैं। उद्देश्य वही है, ध्येय वही है कि लोगों की किसी प्रकार से वीर नारियों की सेवा और सद्भावना। अब एक बात मैं सदैव लोगों से कहता रहा हूं, और वो बात ये है कि राष्ट्रभक्त होने के लिए, पेट्रियट होने के लिए आपको सेना में होना जरूरी नहीं है। आप सेना के बाहर रह के भी पेट्रियट हो सकते हैं, और उसका एक ही तरीका है सेना के बाहर रह के पेट्रियट होने का, और वो तरीका है कि आप जहां भी हैं, जो भी काम कर रहे हैं, जिस भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में काम कर रहे हैं, उस काम को राष्ट्र प्रथम रख के अपनी बेस्ट सेवा देते रहें। वो सच्ची देशभक्ति है। और हमारे बीच मौजूद है ऐसा ही एक देशभक्त जिसने हमारे देश का नाम पूरी दुनिया में रोशन किया है। देश के गिने चुने सीईओज में उसका नाम शुमार है, चंद्र प्रकाश गुरनानी। अब मैं चंद्र गुरनानी से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि वो मंच पर पधारें और दो शब्द कहें।
Your Excellency Dr. Mishra, Honorable Minister, all the army dignitaries. You know, when Preeti and General Anuj Mathur suggested I join this special screening of the movie being made on Lieutenant Colonel Bhandarkar, I did not know what I had bargained for. I can only say that each one of us have a few moments in our life which change you forever. And today, watching this film was reliving the passion, the sense of duty, and more importantly, that sense of purpose that cannot be described in words. And I can only say that Lieutenant Colonel Bhandarkar and many other officers who have probably lived a similar life, but for this civilian, it is a huge, huge, huge impact. Thank you again to Maya Films and Metamorphes for making sure that this moment of history is now treasured forever. Thank you, Mrs. Bhandarkar. I don't know what you went through. I can only be compassionate about it for a minute. I can only visualize the steel that you have in yourselves, and maybe that is the steel for every spouse of an army person, Indian army person. That steel that you know that your spouse may not come back, but you still not only serve the nation through him, but through the two young officers. You know, I was trying to, while I was sitting there, I did try and look for an appropriate quote, because everybody who came here had either poetry or a quote. So I thought this must be the tradition. So I did look for an appropriate quote to remember this transformational moment for myself. And I could find one which was transcribed in 1944, and it is written on a cemetery, on a memorial in Kohima. And it reads something like this, that when you go home, remind them that we gave our today for them. So, I know, many of us are very proud of the impact that we make, but I promise you, it is nothing compared to the impact that Colonel or his family, or many such families are making, and I wish I, from today onwards, can communicate that message to the rest of the world, and that is the takeaway, and that is the promise. And thank you again, General Mathur and Preeti, for inviting me here, because you have changed me, and I hope I can change others too. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gurnani, for your kind words. To call upon and invite His Excellency Dr. Brigadier B.D. Mishra, Governor of Arunachal Pradesh, to enlighten us with his thoughts.
Respected Mrs. Bhandarkar, Honorable Union Minister of State Rajiv Chandrasekhar ji, our Colonel of the Regiment, Colonel of the Madras Regiment, Lieutenant General Manjinder Singh, YSM, VSM, GOC 16 Corps, distinguished people from soldiers' fraternity, here for 2 generations serving officers, ladies and gentlemen. The previous speaker, he quoted a line. I'll complete it. On the far eastern border of India, in Nagaland, their capital Kohima, there is a Second World War cemetery. And the words written there are, when you go home, tell them of us and say, for their tomorrow we gave our today. 200 BC, similar epitaph was written at Thermopylae, and that says, go and tell the Spartans, those who passeth by, go and tell the Spartans, those who passeth by, so that they live today, we here lie. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have assembled in that context. You have just seen a very ingeniously made documentary on Lieutenant Colonel Ajit Bhandarkar, Shaurya Chakra posthumous. It tells you everything about the soldier in him, and soldier in his attributes, and also about the family. He was killed while killing the Kashmiri terrorist, and his battle prowess, chivalry and gallantry These are very well brought out in this documentary, and his chivalry, gallantry and prowess, these are worthy of emulation by one and all in the armed forces. Here, I would like to mention the post-trauma life of Mrs. Bhandarkar. She very bravely, intelligently and wisely, with great fortitude and willpower, she managed her life, also the life of her two children, so very well that they today are part of the Indian Armed Forces. One in my own battalion, Madras regiment, and as Brigadier Atmanathan said, we would love to see him commanding 18 Madras where his father was commissioned. And Akshay, Lieutenant Commander Akshay, he is with the Submarine Corps of the Indian Navy, and I'm very positive, deriving the inspiration from the bravery and gallantry of his father, he will rise to the pinnacle. Mrs. Bhandarkar, she has faced the vicissitudes of life. It is only due to her iron will that she has come out of that trauma. Not only that, she has brought up her children to be worthy citizen, soldier, and sailor of the Indian Armed Forces. Gentlemen, in the Indian Army, we always fight for the unity and integrity of our nation. And its price, we know bother about. And the price is what? The ultimate sacrifice for the nation and for security. And this must be remembered by everybody, not only in armed forces, those who live to retire and thereafter continue in life, but all citizens of the country. And I think in that, Shri Rajiv Chandrasekhar ji, our Honorable Union Minister of State, he is one of those symbols. And here I would like to quote Francis Quarles, his poem. And he says, God and soldiers people alike adore. God and soldiers people alike adore, on the brink of danger and not before. God and soldiers people alike adore, on the brink of danger and not before. After deliverance, everything is requited. God is forgotten and soldier is slighted. Let that not happen. And I'm very positive, if we have people like Shri Rajiv Chandrasekhar ji sitting in Parliament and also being a very active member in the government, I think Francis Quarles, he should rest assured that that will not happen. Let's make a resolve, as it was done in the case of Mrs. Bhandarkar, that we'll cherish the memory of all those soldiers who lay down their life, sailor, airmen, who lay down their life for the cause of the country. We'll not forget them. And Mrs. Bhandarkar will ever remain, her family will ever remain in our memory and 18 Madras, as was brought out by a colonel of the regiment, General Manjinder Singh. We take pride that we had a soldier whose caliber was so good, who was so brave, who was so courageous, and who has been admired and who was admired and who will keep on getting admired by the galaxy of people, bright soldiers who worked with him or who interacted with him. We will always pray for the family of Colonel Bhandarkar. I am reminded of an Irish prayer of blessing, and that I would say for Mrs. Bhandarkar and her family. And the prayer is, and I quote, "May God give you always, may God give you always sunshine to warm you. May God give you always sunshine to warm you, moonshine to charm you, protective fairies so that nothing harms you, laughter to cheer you, faithful friends near you, and most importantly, when you pray, heavens to hear you." And that is what we pray for the family of Lieutenant Colonel Ajit Bhandarkar. Ladies and gentlemen, his sacrifice, Lieutenant Colonel Bhandarkar's sacrifice, it falls in the category of great freedom fighters, people who have done the best for the country, for its sovereignty, unity, and integrity. And here, I would like to mention that such people can never be forgotten, and also they can never have, there can be never any occasion when we can ever think that they are not in our memory. And that is very important. Our colonel of the regiment, he quoted a line about the Shaheed. I would like to complete it. And the event is like this. We had a great freedom fighter, Pandit Ram Prasad Bismil. In Kakori Kand, you must have read in history, he was caught after the Kakori Kand. Britishers did a facade trial of his offenses and sentenced him to death. And he was lodged in the condemned prison. And on the day that the hangman came to his cell to take him, so he said, "Just wait for a minute, wait for a minute." So hangman says, "Oh, no. The time we have got to go on gallows is this." He said, "Look, please take this paper." So he said, "What is this paper?" He says that when people come to claim my body, give this paper to them. And you know what was written on that paper. And he wrote it minutes before he was to be taken to gallows. And it was, and I quote, "Watan ki abru ka paas, watan ki abru ka paas dekhe kaun rakhega. Watan ki abru ka paas dekhe kaun rakhega. Suna hai aaj maktal." Maktal means the place where beheading takes place. वतन की आबरू का पास देखें कौन रखेगा, सुना है आज मक्तल में हमारा इम्तिहान होगा, न हो पहलू से मेरे दूर, वतन की आबरू का पास देखें कौन रखेगा। सुना है आज मक्तल में हमारा इम्तहान होगा। न हो पहलू से मेरे दूर ऐ दर्दे वतन हरगिज, न हो पहलू से मेरे दूर ऐ दर्दे वतन हरगिज, न जाने बाद मुर्दन मैं कहाँ हो तू कहाँ होगा। आफ्टर डिपार्चर, न हो पहलू से मेरे दूर ऐ दर्दे वतन हरगिज, न जाने बाद मुर्दन मैं कहाँ हो तू कहाँ होगा। शहीदों की चिताओं पर, शहीदों की चिताओं पर जुड़ेंगे दर बरस मेले, वतन पर मरने वालों का यही बाकी निशा होगा, वतन पर मरने वालों का। Ladies and gentlemen, I salute Lieutenant Colonel Ajit Bhandarkar, a great son of soil, a great soldier of our regiment, Madras regiment, and a great soul. And I'm very positive that you all will always emulate his bravery and his sacrifice. Mrs. Bhandarkar, she has been very brave and with immense fortitude. She has written a book on him, and now this documentary has come up. And there is a great tribute for Lieutenant Colonel Bhandarkar, who laid down his life for the country. And I today thank you all who have come in great number, particularly the course mates of Ajit, and joined and be present on this occasion. I thank you all for gracing this occasion. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your kind words. इससे पहले कि हम अपने मुख्य अतिथि को अपने आशीर्वचन देने के लिए मंच पर बुलाएं, मैं आपको एक ऐसे व्यक्ति से मिलवाना चाहता हूं जिसको आपने इस फिल्म में थोड़ा सा देखा है। सेना में एक चीज होती है, उसको बडी बोलते हैं, और ये बडी सिस्टम जो है वो दो लोग बडी बनाए जाते हैं, और एक लाइन में मैं बताऊंगा उस बडी का अर्थ क्या होता है। उस बडी का अर्थ ये होता है कि एक बडी को दूसरे बडी को उसकी मां से ज्यादा बेहतर समझने की आवश्यकता है, वो बडी होता है। और वो बडी जो होता है, यदि आवश्यकता पड़े किसी मैदान जंग में दूसरे की जान बचाने के लिए अपने प्राणों को न्यौछावर करने की, तो वो करने के लिए तत्पर रहता है। और इस बड़ी सूबेदार मेजर एस बिनू की जान बचाने के लिए लेफ्टिनेंट कर्नल अजीत भंडारकर बड़ी ने अपने प्राणों की आहुति दी और देश के लिए अपने आप को न्यौछावर कर दिया। सूबेदार मेजर बिनू साहब, आप मंच पर पधारें। अब मैं अपने माननीय मुख्य अतिथि श्री राजीव चंद्रशेखर जी से अनुरोध करूंगा कि वे मंच पर आए और अपने आशीर्वचन कहने से पहले इस सूबेदार मेजर बडी को सम्मानित करें। धन्यवाद सर। अब आप हमें अपने आशीर्वचनों से अनुग्रहित करें।
Good morning. Namaskara, namaskaram to the most inspiring Shakuntala Bhandarkar ji, Damayanti Tambe ji, His Excellency Brigadier B.D. Mishra, Lieutenant General Manjinder Singh,
Lieutenant General Anil Bhatt, ladies and gentlemen, it is, of course, a great honor, great privilege to be associated with this celebration of the life of a true hero of India. And as His Excellency the Governor just mentioned, this is a celebration of not just the life of a warrior, Colonel Bhandarkar, but celebration of Shakuntala Bhandarkar's life, her whole spirit, and the two bravehearts who have followed in the footsteps of Colonel Bhandarkar, one a Tambi and one a submariner. So this is indeed a tremendous telling of a tremendous story. And I thank Metamorphes Foundation, and I thank Maya for doing this. And I will explain to you why I believe this documentary and this type of celebration of a warrior, of course, but a gentleman warrior is very, very important in the context of where we are today as a nation, in the context of, as Major General Mathur said, patriotism not being limited to a few organizations or a few people, but necessary to become something that is a widely felt emotion amongst the youth of this country. I've had the privilege and honor of almost through my entire life being around men and women in uniform, their families, and in a sense, I don't pretend to have lived the lives that our warriors and bravehearts have lived, but I have certainly lived in close proximity to many of them. And throughout my life, I have experienced stories of sacrifice. I have experienced those moments when a fallen soldier's family is fated for those few days. There is a story, the news item, or some telling of that sacrifice that lasts for an instant, and then life goes back to normal and people move on. And as I think General Manjinder Singh said, this was not a problem for most of those who serve, most people in uniform. This was never an issue because they were, in a sense, creating chapters and new annals in the history of the Indian military. And so as the Indian military history kept getting enriched by these tales of valor, courage, sacrifice, that seemed absolutely appropriate and normal and not lacking anything from their perspective or from the perspective of the men and women and the families who served. But for many years, as somebody who's attempted to draw the attention of the country to these stories, these tales of courage, these tales of service, I felt that there was a huge gap between how the country saw this and the place of these achievements and these stories in the history of India. And I think His Excellency the Governor mentioned a little bit or referred to this, that there was almost for several years the Indian military history and the celebration of that, and there was this broader narrative of the Indian history that was being rewritten, shaped, or written by people with very little of this being included in that. So I think for decades we can safely say that the heroes that India celebrated or the galaxy of heroes that India celebrated included in very, very small part the men and women and the families whom I call the true heroes, who shaped the building of, founding of, defended this nascent democracy that was born in 1947. I can share with you some experiences myself. I remember in 2008 when I was a newly elected member of parliament, and the one rank, one pension issue was one of the first issues that I got behind. And there was an almost total lack of empathy to this issue within the broader civil society and the broader nation. When I went out in 2008 and attempted to build a national military memorial in Bengaluru, many so-called members of civil society pushed back, and one of the excuses used at that time was, to prevent that, was, no, that is a place I go for a morning walk. So can we not have a nuisance of a military memorial that interrupts my morning walk? And these are, by the way, people with a great deal of standing in society that was saying these things. There was a governor at that time who had an IAS PS, who made sure there was an order issued, Government of Karnataka order issued, that the memorial should be in the cantonment. And so this lady, I walked up to this lady and said, but why are you doing this? And she said, but the military has a lot of land, why don't they just build a memorial there? Why don't they just build a memorial there? As if this was about the military memorializing themselves rather than the country memorializing the sacrifices of our men. That was the mindset in 2009. But if you move and look to today, we are a very different, we're a much more aware nation. We are very, very aware and discriminating about who our heroes are and who our heroes should be. And I think telling of these stories, and Maya, I thank you for doing this. Shakuntala ji, thank you for doing this. Not just from the point of view of telling us your story, but doing a tremendous service, because I hope this will unleash and start a brand new model of telling of the stories of our heroes, so that more and more Indians can really understand these complete stories and not be restricted to these 1 minute, 2 minute capsules that news channels lay out when there is a sacrifice made or there's an encounter, but rather the telling of the whole story, so that more and more Indians know that this great country, this great democracy, where we are celebrating 75 years of independence and we are looking forward to the next 25 years, has been built on the blood, sweat, idealism, and service to the nation ethos of thousands and thousands of men and their families and their wives and their children. This is an important telling of these stories, and I hope, Maya, that you will do more and more of these documentaries. And as I think Brigadier Atmanathan said, there are many, many stories of, there are many gritty Veer Naris, and there are many stories of warriors and gentlemen who have sacrificed. And I believe all those stories need to be not just made, but told, retold, told again, so that that the coming generation and the younger generation build their lives inspired by them and inspired by these true heroes. I'll end by saying something that should come to you as encouragement, as good news, as a welcome change in the way people look at this. Recently, I was invited to a group of big, rich entrepreneurs, many of the kind of C.P. Gurrani, who were in Hyderabad, and I made it a point to go to Hyderabad for this specifically over a weekend. They were all CEOs, young, some not so young, very, very well off, very successful. And the reason I made it a point to go there is they wanted to know from me, they wanted to speak to me about how entrepreneurs and business leaders can be inspired by the army ethos. That was the topic. I talk a lot about entrepreneurship, I talk a lot about technology, that's what I've spent all my life doing. And so when somebody on their own came to me and said, look, tell us how we can be inspired by the army and those who serve, and the culture that the army represents, the mission first, the India first focus that the army creates in a man and his family, I was happy to do that. And I can assure you that that hall was absolutely sold, and the biggest fans on this whole ethos that our Indian Armed Forces represents in terms of patriotism and service to the nation and being partners and stakeholders in building this great nation going forward. I will end by volunteering to General Maninder Singh that as far as peninsular India is concerned and those 4 or 5 state governments are concerned, if there's any help that I can do or my office can do or the government of India can do, I'm available 24/7. There is a member of my staff. One of the perquisites of being a minister in the government is that I can have a large, expansive staff. Those are one of the perquisites. But I intend to use that staff meaningfully, and I can assure you there is a designated person in my team who is only to look after veteran and armed forces issues. So if there is any way I can help, I'm available 24/7 to help you and your efforts at veterans and Veer Naris. I will end by, again, a very respectful salute to Shakuntala ji, a grateful thanks to Maya and her team, and to the Metamorphes team for doing this. I think you still do not understand the importance of what this video represents. I will work with you to ensure that the Amazons and the other OTT platforms hopefully convert this into a series. If they don't see value in it, we will get the Doordarshan and others to do this. And I hope to have 75 of such documentaries made before we complete our 75th year of independence. Thank you very much again for your attention. Thank you for inviting me. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you for your inspiring and such motivating words, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot of help from you maybe in future. Thank you so much. After such enlightening and inspiring words from a galaxy of esteemed people here, I think it's now time for some musical morning, afternoon, whatever. So I'd like to invite Amir Dabli, who is our star performer today.
आप लोगों को मैं बता दूं, अमीर डाबली जी एक बहुत, और ये जहां जाते हैं अपने फैंस का एक तूफान वहां लेकर के चले आते हैं. अमीर डाबली.
Good evening, everybody. Yeah, that's fine. See you. Can you please put on the keyboard? On the PA. Increase the level. So when Mrs. Bhandarkar called me after the meeting at the Assam Rifles office in Delhi, like a lot of civilians, I was wondering what would my role be in an August gathering like this, but then the entertainer or the singer in me realized that the job that I keep doing of traveling all across cantonments to inspire the soldiers, Jawans, officers, and also the countrymen is something that I would be interested to do this, and I'm so glad to have been a part of this as a special invitee to watch this film, which is beautifully done by Maya and her entire team, and of course Metamorphes. I'm just going to sing 2 lines from a song that deeply inspires me. You heard this song a zillion times. It's written beautifully by my dear friend Manoj Muntashir, which was from the movie that has taken people by storm. The movie was Kesari. And probably it is moments like these when I stand in front of all brave hearts like all of you, is when I realized that I did the right choice of quitting a well-paying banker job and getting into music full-time. Thank you. Those of you who know this song, I can pay this as a tribute, not just to Colonel Bhandarkar, who so richly deserves this afternoon, but to all the fallen soldiers and the serving soldiers across the board, across all uniform services that we have in our country, as a tribute from all of us. तलवारों पे सलवार दिए, अंगारों में इश्क जलाया है, तब जाके कहीं हमने सर पे ये सजाया है। मेरी ज़मीं अफ़सोस नहीं जो तेरे लिए सौ दर्द सहे, महफूज रहे तेरी याद सदा, चाहे जान मेरी ये रहे न रहे। है मेरी ज़मीं महबूब मेरी, मेरी नस नस में तेरा इश्क बहे, फीका न पड़े कभी रंग तेरा, जिस्मों से निकल के खून कहे। तेरी मिट्टी में मिल जावा गुल बनके मैं खिल जावा, इतनी सी है दिल की आरज़ू। तेरी नदियों में बह जावा, तेरे खेतों में लहरावा, इतनी सी है दिल की आरज़ू। जन्मभूमि है हमारी, पुरखों की शान है, Thank you.
That was an amazing performance, transporting us completely into another world. I'm sure everyone enjoyed it as we did. Thank you so much, Amir, and his accompaniment for this beautiful performance.
अमिया, तेरी आवाज ही पहचान है, घर याद रहे. All good things must come to an end. I just want my co-mates to have some more patience. 2 more minutes, 2.5 more minutes, please. 2.5 more minutes. अब मैं.
And be rest assured, we'll take care of your hunger.
हाँ, अब मैं आप लोगों के सामने माया फिल्म्स की फाउंडर डायरेक्टर माया चंद्रा को बुलाना चाहता हूं और मैं माया चंद्रा से अनुरोध करूंगा कि वे मंच पर आएं और अपना धन्यवाद उद्बोधन जितने भी लोग यहां बचे हैं उनको दें.
Team Maya and Metamorphs sincerely thank all of you who have graced this occasion today. Special thanks to all the guests who are here with us and for encouraging and cheering our every step on this initiative. Thank you, Ameya Dabli, and your team for the small, short musical tribute. We'd like to hear more of it pretty soon. Finally, a big thank you to 18 Madras, Mysore Marauders, Colonel Naresh and his team for their relentless support. A heartfelt thanks to this wonderful audience that we've had today of the course mates, friends, well-wishers, and the family of Lieutenant Colonel Ajit V Bhandarkar, Shaurya Chakra. Finally, an effort like this would not be possible without the valiant and brave support of my own team, who I would like to call upon stage. Let me thank my team, Maya, Naveen, Akshay Menon, Deepak Shivanathan, Akhil Kumar, and Akshay Surendran. This team of wonderful people, technicians, creative people, have worked with me relentlessly for the past many, many months to create the Saga of a Braveheart. This indeed is a very special moment for me and my team, Maya. Thank you all for your encouragement on this. I'd just like to add one more little piece. Our Honorable Minister, who just mentioned that he has an excellent staff to take care of many things. We ourselves, both Team Metamorphs and Maya Films, have been a witness and an experience to this, because he has definitely been hand-holding us, supporting us to reach different platforms and different kinds of screening and broadcasting places. And I think we are all set with this first pilot episode to move on the trajectory to another series of documentaries on the brave hearts of our nation. Thank you, Colonel Atmanathan, for giving us some brilliant tips, and all of you for being such a wonderful audience and encouraging us in this effort. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Maya. It was wonderful to hear you. Not too many people are around, but I thought that I will say this in the beginning, then I saved it for the end. I just want to say 2 lines 2 lines for Metamorphes Foundation. The 2 lines are, we are a non-political, non-religious, non-profit initiative. I don't call ourselves organization. We are an initiative, ladies and gentlemen. And this initiative has a small dream, choti si asha, small dream. And we are doing our bit to get the dream going. And the dream is to see India a happy, vibrant, and inclusive state. Ladies and gentlemen, 4 lines. जाने से पहले 4 लाइन मेरे जो कोर्समेट बाहर हैं वो भी मेरी बात सुन पाएंगे. शायद मेरी आवाज उन तक पहुंचे, क्योंकि मेरी आवाज बिना माइक के भी काफी दूर सफर कर सकती है. जाग रहे, ये मेटामॉर्फ्स और सेना की तरफ से है. जाग रहे हम वीर जवान, जियो जियो रे हिंदुस्तान. जाग रहे हम वीर जवान, जियो जियो रे हिंदुस्तान. तन मन धन तुझ पे कुर्बान, जियो जियो रे हिंदुस्तान. देंगे जान नहीं ईमान, देंगे जान नहीं ईमान. जियो जियो रे हिंदुस्तान. हम प्रहरी यमराज समान, हम प्रहरी यमराज समान. जियो जियो रे हिंदुस्तान, जियो जियो रे हिंदुस्तान. May I now request all of you to kindly rise for the national anthem.
The national anthem will be sung by Amir Dabli and his accompaniment. Thank you everyone for being such a nice audience. I'll just request for a group photograph with all the Maya team and the Metamorphs team to be on the stage.
I'd like to say a huge thanks to Mr. Vipul Samani who stayed back this afternoon to be a part of
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Vipul is a musician par excellence.